Hello again everybody, and welcome to another video from Positively Nerdy. We're coming up quickly on the end of the year, and typically at the end of the year is when we spend some time looking back at the year that was. And when I look back at 2014, you know what I realized? A lot of really cool stuff happened 20 years ago. I don't mean kind of 20 years ago, I mean literally 20 years ago. 1994 was one of the best years ever. And in this video, instead of looking back at 2014, we're going to look back at 1994 with 94 reasons why 1994 was the best year ever. Starting us off, the 1994 Winter Olympics in Lillehammer, because the Olympics are fun, right? That can be on the list. Plus, it gave us Tonya Harding versus Nancy Kerrigan before they ever even hit the ice. And you guys are still talking about that 20 years later, but you all forgot that it was the Ukrainian jewel, Oksana Bayul, who defeated both of them. Friends debuted 20 years ago. Personally, I can't stand that show, but most of you probably love it, so you should be happy that it's on the list somewhere. Jedi Search, Dark Apprentice, and Champions of the Force, better known as the Jedi Academy Trilogy. If Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn Trilogy kicked off the EU, the Jedi Academy Trilogy blew the door down. Aerosmith's Big Ones, the first CD I ever bought. Inside the Actors Studio debuts, My So-Called Life. Woodstock 94, a sequel not quite as good as the original. I'll Stand By You from The Pretenders. Love that song. Airheads, it's hilarious. If you've seen it, you know. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. 9 Inch Nails' Downward Spiral. Babylon 5. Had I ever actually watched it, it'd probably be a lot higher. Star Wars TIE Fighter. The Santa Claus, which my wife is going to kill me for not making that higher on the list. This was also the year that Saved by the Bell the college years ended, so they finally stopped beating that dead horse. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Not going to do an impression. Real Monsters. All That debuted in 1994, featuring a sweet, adorable young Amanda Bynes. Sadly, that is no longer the case. My Brother and Me, a little-known show on Nickelodeon, debuted in 1994 as well. And the show might not be that memorable, but I'm telling you, they had the best bedroom ever. I used to be so jealous of the bedroom that My Brother and Me had. You guys, if you never saw that show, you need to check it out. Their bedroom was awesome. In 1994, Hulk Hogan signed with WCW. You can argue whether or not that was a good thing or a bad thing. At this point in time, I was actually away from wrestling. I was super into the NBA, early 90s, thanks to mostly the Dream Team, through to the mid to late 90s-ish. So while you guys were lamenting or celebrating the fact that Hulk Hogan went to WCW, I was watching the Houston Rockets win the NBA championship. And why did the Houston Rockets win the NBA championship? Probably because Michael Jordan was off playing baseball. The Critic? I wonder what you think of this video. Cyclops and Jean Grey finally got married. Here are some of the songs that were #1 in 1994. Hero by Mariah Carey. All for Love by Bryan Adams. Power of Love by Celine Dion. The Sign by Ace of Base. Bump and Grind by R. Kelly. I Swear by All for One. And Unbended Knee from Boyz II Men. Now there were 2 other songs that were #1 in 1999, but we're going to get to those a lot later. Ready to Die by the Notorious B.I.G. The Crow. The Shadow, and The Mask. Some lesser-known comic titles getting some love, presumably due to the success of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Star Trek Generations, but don't worry, there's much better Trek further down the list. Bush, 16 Stone, Stone Temple Pilots, Purple, Super Metroid, TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool, Earth 2, a wonderful and highly underrated science fiction series, A Secret World of Alex Mack. I had the biggest crush on Larissa Oleynik. You guys have no idea. It was probably one of my first legitimate, like, drooling, obsessed. I loved The Secret World of Alex Mack. I loved Larissa Oleynik. So much, in fact, you know what? I'm going to give her the next 10 spots on the list. A little company called Silicon and Synapse, which is way harder to say than you might think, becomes Blizzard Entertainment. So that means that one of my favorite non-Mario Kart racing games of all time, Rock'n'Roll Racing, is technically a Blizzard game. And speaking of Blizzard, guess what else came out in 1994? Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. 20 years later, wow, it's hard to believe what came out of that game. Satellite TV was available for the first time, and 20 years later, all they do is put out terrible commercials and compete with cable companies on who can make it harder for you guys to sit down while you're watching TV. Regulators! Mount up! Soundgarden, Super Unknown, Street Fighter II Turbo, on the arcade, yes I know it came out before 1994, but on the arcade, Street Fighter II Turbo. Buddy Holly by Weezer, The Chunnel, yes it was a brilliant technological engineering marvel, but you know what, it's just fun to say Chunnel. Dave Matthews Band, Under the Table and Dreaming, Netscape Navigator, you loved it, you miss it, admit it. Smash by The Offspring. What's the Story? Morning Glory, Oasis. The Tick, Dumb and Dumber. Pulp Fiction, Dookie, Green Day. Dookie. Boyz II Men 2. And the song that spent 14 weeks at #1, I'll Make Love to You. Spider-Man, the animated series. And believe it or not, there's more Spider-Man to come. Other popular cartoons in 1994. X-Men, Rugrats, It's Time for Animaniacs, and Doug, one of my personal favorites. True Lies, Spider-Man The Clone Saga. You know what? Laugh all you want, but this is my list, and I love The Clone Saga because I was only 12, and I probably didn't know any better, but those kind of things stick with you. And my favorite thing to come out of that was Ben Reilly the Scarlet Spider, because he had a hoodie for his costume. Amazon was founded as Kadabra, and apparently they changed the name because people thought it sounded like cadaver. People in 1994 were weird. Stay by Lisa Loeb. You say I talk so all the time, so. I'm a terrible singer. Speed, the #1 show on TV in 1994. Seinfeld. The video for Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. The Shawshank Redemption. Quick, go turn your TV on right now. I promise it's on one of the channels. Star Trek The Next Generation's series finale, All Good Things. That might seem like a bad thing, but it still is one of the greatest series finales of all time. And just a few weeks before that, they gave us my favorite episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Lower Decks. Forrest Gump. Donkey Kong Country. This game was such a big deal. Nintendo actually sent a VHS tape to our house to tell us how awesome this game was going to be. Cracked Review by Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah, laugh all you want, but I loved this CD when it came out. I still love this album. I listen to it backwards, forwards, up and down, in between, shuffle, everything. This album will never ever get old to me. I adore it. And featured on Cracked Review, Let Her Cry. If not for sitting on the dock of the bay, this would be my favorite song of all time. If Let Her Cry was the only song I got to listen to for the rest of time, I'd be more than alright with that. Laugh all you want, but this is my list. And the #1 reason 1994 was the best year ever? The Lion King. Still the best Disney movie of all time. That's right, Frozen fanatics. You got a long way to go to get to Lion King territory. Maybe your movie made more, but it's nowhere near as good as The Lion King. The best movie Disney's probably ever made, or ever will, The Lion King. So there you have it, everybody. My 94 reasons that 1994 was the best year ever. Yes, some of you are going to squabble over placement, what should be higher, what should be lower. Feel free to share those opinions with me. What I'm more interested, though, is what did I leave out? What was be on your list of 94 things that made 1994 awesome? You need to let me know in the comments below, sound off, be heard, and maybe I'll do some sort of video including everything I forgot. So if there's something for you, something like Hootie and the Blowfish would probably not be that high on anybody else's list, but if it's something like that would be that high for you, share that with me. Anything I might have forgotten, any squabbling you want to do about placement on the video too, let me know about that in the comments below. Be sure to check out my other videos right here on this channel. Stay tuned for more, and of course, as always, you can head over to PositivelyNerdy.com for podcasts and all sorts of other cool things that I do. Thank you so much for watching this video, you guys. I really appreciate it, and until I see you again, celebrate your fandom.